Also Allah is El-Baa'is, meaning the one who resurrects the creations after death and assemble them in a day that will undoubtedly occur and happen, which is the day of judgment. As Allah Ta'ala said, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْعَثُ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. On the day for judgment, these bodies, and meaning the bodies that decayed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order the earth to bring his parts together. He will be restructured. Because when a body decays, the flesh decays first, then the bones. Only that little bone at the end of the tailbone of the vertebral column of a human being, it's a very, very tiny one. It's called عجب الذنب. The Prophet said about it, منه خلق ابن آدم وعليه يركب يوم القيامة. So his skeleton will be structured on that little bone on the day of judgment. That one does not perish. See, when they do the cremation for a corpse, they put it in the oven, crematory, and they burn it. This doesn't get burnt. Doesn't perish. Even in the grave, when one's body perishes, decays, that remains. On it, on the day of judgment, the skeleton will be structured, will be covered with flesh, the soul will come back, and the graves will be cut open, and people will come out of their graves. They call this resurrection. They will be assembled for judgment, and that is the assembly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will resurrect the creations on the day of judgment and will assemble them for judgment. If you think about your life compared to the everlasting life in the hereafter, this will be nothing. So just imagine 60 years, for instance, 70 years, even 100, if you were to live up to 100. And that's very rare these days. 60, 70, that's the average if you were to live up to it. But even if you were to say 100 years over everlasting life, that's nothing. This fraction is negligible. Negligible fraction you get. So that's why one of the scholars said, this life is like an hour. It's like an hour. This life is like an hour. Spend it in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know that usually the self is greedy. Teach it a lesson to be content. You need to oppose your desires, your bad inclinations. You know how much effort the righteous Muslims in the past put on themselves to rectify themselves, to be better Muslims? One of the scholars said, I struggled with myself to fix it for 40 years until it became straight. He was working very hard on himself for 40 years until it became straight. That's an effort. Now look at yourself. Many people, they wake up in the morning, whatever they feel they want to do, they go to do it. They want to have some fun here, waste time here, and do such and such. They do not oppose themselves. They do not even question themselves. They do not judge themselves. They do not put limits for their inclinations. Whatever they want to do, they want to do. That scholar worked on himself for 40 years, he said, until he reached the stage of righteousness. And it was narrated that one righteous Muslim wali visited another righteous Muslim, another wali. And those are highly accepted by Allah. Those are the righteous slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That righteous Muslim visited another righteous Muslim. When he went to visit him, he saw him sitting in the air, crossing his legs, sitting in the air, suspended, nothing underneath him. So he asked him, how did you get to this stage? Now sometimes Allah shows some of these extraordinary things for the righteous Muslims, for others to see and witness that this is the path of righteousness, and also proof, evidence that the messenger of the time is a prophet sent by Allah, and this is ascertain his prophethood. Because this one followed that prophet. And this proves that the prophet is on the right path. Because by this person following him, he reached what he reached. So he saw him sitting in the air, crossing his legs. He said, how did he get to this stage? He said, by opposing myself. By opposing myself. And some scholars said, the cure for oneself is by fighting it. The cure for oneself is by fighting it. Fight yourself. Do not be a captive for your bad inclinations and your desires. Do not be handcuffed by your desires, led by your desires. No, think about it. Can I do this Islamically? If yes, I'll do it. If not, I'm not going to do it. Is there anything better I can do? What I can gain my time? Utilize my time in a proper way? You need to think about this. Otherwise, time is running very fast, day after day. Some of you, as if yesterday, we remember them little children playing. Now some of you already got married. Time goes by very quick. It was said, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam lived for about 1,750 years. It was said that the angel asked him, how did you find this day in this life? He said, as if it's a house with two doors. I went into it from one door, then exited from the other. This is how we found life. From one door, exited from the other. And he lived 1,750 years. So what about 60, 70 years, brothers and sisters? So we have to live our life wisely. Utilize your time in the way that benefits you. In the way that benefits you in the hereafter. Do not follow your desires and bad inclinations. Always think about the hereafter. Think about judgment and judge yourself before you are judged.